and yes, our law enforcement officials. And every one of them that I've talked to, almost to a person, has said Marjorie Taylor Greene is not who they want representing them. So yes, this campaign is about Marcus Flowers, not MTG. Thank you.
Joshua, it's your turn.
I need a rebuttal to that. You cannot accuse me of insurrection. I was a victim of the January 6th riot just as much as any other member of Congress. That was the third day I had on the job. I had nothing to do with what happened there that day, and I will not have you accuse me of that. That is wrong of you to do. You're lying about me, and you will not defame my character in that manner.
Did Joe Biden win the election, Congresswoman Greene?
Joe Biden is the president of the United States,
Absolutely,
Marcus.
But you pushed a big lie that said he did not win the election.
There was election fraud.
You drove those people to the Capitol on January 6th with your lie.
We're going to move on. Josh Rowe, it's your turn to ask
and my
a question
husband has
to Marjorie
proof of it.
Taylor Greene.
We have FOIA evidence of proof of election fraud that came out.
Excuse me. We're ready to move on to the next question for you.
Okay, but he's not going to accuse me of a crime.
Would you like your question?
Would
you like your question?
Yes, ma'am, I would. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
You're a liar, by the way.
Ah, right. Marjorie Taylor Greene was a victim of January 6th. And here I was thinking that all those people who perpetuated the big lie were responsible for those events, when apparently it was them who suffered the most. Got it. And just in case Marjorie Taylor Greene legitimately thinks that she can rewrite history and frame herself as the victim in all of this, here's a little clip that I'd recommend keeping handy.
Just finished with our meetings here at the White House this afternoon. We had a great planning session for our January 6th objection. We aren't going to let this election be stolen by Joe Biden and the Democrats. President Trump won by a landslide. Call your House reps, call your senators from your states. We've got to make sure they're on board, and we already have a lot of people engaged. Okay, stay tuned.
So if you were wondering why it was that a bunch of crazed insurrectionists stormed the U.S. Capitol looking to assassinate Mike Pence and any other politician who didn't bend to Donald Trump's whims, it's because people like Marjorie Taylor Greene decided to perpetuate the lie that the election was stolen, even going so far as to attend a planning session where Republican lawmakers and senators would do their part by objecting to the electoral count. And not because there was anything worth objecting over, but because it was part of this whole coordinated campaign where they convinced their supporters that the election was stolen just by virtue of pretending that it was stolen. But when it came time to present any evidence, well, then it was just crickets. I mean, if you listen to Greene, she literally stands there and claims that the election was fraudulent and that, quote, my husband has proof of it. In other words, Trump and his allies' lawyers spent weeks in court, over 60 cases, and failed to prove fraud in one single case, in courts across the country, in front of judges who Donald Trump himself appointed. Zero fraud. But apparently, Marjorie Taylor Greene's husband has all the proof that every single lawyer and judge missed. All this time, all Trump needed to do was find that guy, the apparent king of the I did my own research crowd. But this wasn't the only deranged rant that Marjorie Taylor Greene went on. Here's another meltdown while attempting to describe the Democratic Party, and it goes pretty much exactly like you'd imagine.
The Democrat Party is the party of child abuse. It's the party that represents grooming children and sexualizing them in school, teaching anti-white racism in the terms of CRT education, and genital mutilation of kids that can't even get a driver's license, can't get a tattoo, and cannot vote. How do you stand there and represent the Democrat Party as a father? And do you believe in genital mutilation of children under the age of 18 and these puberty blockers?
Yeah, tell you what, for a party that's supposedly out there protecting children, they sure do seem obsessed with their genitals. And look, this lunacy isn't surprising. This is what Republicans do. They cook up whatever insane, non-existent examples of something that caught fire in some Facebook comment section on an Alex Jones video, and then they pretend that every Democrat in the country is doing exactly that. Clearly, no Democrats are mutilating children, and Marjorie Taylor Greene knows that, but the fact that she has to lie is a tacit admission that she can't run on anything happening in reality because she'd lose. And so instead, she and her party have to invent things to scare people. This isn't a new tactic, what with it literally being the only tactic that they have. But here's where it really starts to fall apart. Greene has asked for a specific accomplishment that she's been able to achieve for her constituents.
Civic accomplishment solely on behalf of the 14th Congressional District that is most important to you.
Well, I tell you what, it's been hard to pass any bills in a Democrat-controlled, Nancy Pelosi-controlled House of Representatives, a Senate that is controlled by one vote with Kamala Harris as the Democrat vice president, and a White House that is controlled by Democrats, Joe Biden. Now, what we've done to accomplish things for Northwest Georgia is I'm proud to be able to bring in money via grants to help our local sheriff's department and help local businesses there.
Which is a lot of words to say nothing. Here's the thing. If Greene had any legislation worth passing, Democrats would have passed it. Democrats have passed a ton of legislation that benefits both parties. The infrastructure bill benefits everyone. The American Rescue Plan ensured free COVID vaccines and tests for everyone. The Inflation Reduction Act lowers prescription drug costs for everyone. The CHIPS Act will lead to more jobs and lower prices for everyone. The PACT Act funds healthcare for veterans regardless of party. Forgiving student loan debt helps everyone with student loans. She's standing there pretending that the Democrats aren't willing to pass any legislation that helps Republicans, when effectively every single piece of legislation passed will overwhelmingly benefit Republicans. But here's the kicker. She crows about how she's been able to bring in grants to help the sheriff's department. Now, I'm not sure what grant she's talking about here, but I can say that a major source of funding for the police was the American Rescue Plan, which funded state and local governments, including every police department, to the tune of $350 billion. Marjorie Taylor Greene voted against that. She made the conscious decision to deprive her own state and her own district of funding that would ensure that police officers continued to get paid. So don't listen to what these people say, watch what they do. The fact is that Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't interested in helping her constituents. If she was, she'd have voted to fund broadband for them. She'd have voted to fix their roads and bridges. She'd have voted to fund the local cops and teachers and firefighters. She'd have voted to ease the baby formula shortage. She'd have voted to stop oil companies from price gouging. She'd have voted to fund veteran health care. She'd have voted to bring semiconductor chips jobs to the United States. She'd have voted to cap insulin costs. She'd have voted to cap out-of-pocket medical expenses for seniors at $2,000 a year. She'd have voted to allow the government to negotiate lower drug prices. She didn't vote for any of that. Her goal isn't to help her constituents, it's to help herself and bolster her career among national hardline Republicans. She's more interested in appealing to Sean Hannity's hardcore viewers than she is in helping a single person in her district. She's in Congress for one person and one person alone, and it isn't anyone who she represents. So again, if you're a voter in her district or any district where these MAGA Republicans have put their own political fortunes above you and your health care, your safety, your reproductive rights, your jobs, then send a message to these people in just a few weeks that you're not there to serve them, they're there to serve you. Before you go, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. You can click the thumbnail right here on this screen. And if you want to support my work even further, the best way is to subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen. There you can check out my interviews with major players in the world of politics, including President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, Katie Porter, Jamie Raskin, and so many more. Plus other interviews that live exclusively on the podcast. That link is also right here on this screen, or just search No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen wherever you listen to podcasts.